you?
How are you?
Doing great. So to start, this movie is very much, it is described as a cat and mouse game, and it very much is that,
Yeah,
especially with it kind of being a two-hander of just these two guys in the car for the most part.
right.
When you are making a movie that is such a thriller, that is just two characters at the center, what was kind of the challenge for you as a director to kind of bring that energy to life and the tension that exists within this movie in just the car for the most part?
Yeah, I mean, actually, in the car and also in the script stage, everybody was confused about it. Like, you would let somebody read the script and say, how much is it in the car? And they would say like 80, 70%. And it's actually like 35%. It's like a third, but it looks more. But what you're saying is exactly correct. I mean, when you have just two guys just going at it and talking, you have to constantly pull rabbits out of the hat to keep people interesting. Okay, now there's this. Now he tries to do this. Now this is revealed. So it's more on the script content level to constantly have new phases to this thing, to change it and to. So I that was the challenge already on the script level. And Luke Paradise, who wrote the script, did a great job to start with, and then we pushed it more, in terms of trying to keep every bit of it like be its own thing. And then Nick and Joel came in, and they also had, you kind of write it into the actors, and Nick himself kind of has a lot of ideas and stuff that he kind of brings into the character. So yeah, but it's a challenge, and you see it in the editing. Like, are people becoming bored here? Are people, you can't have them. It's a kind of film that needs to hold you throughout. So you feel it in the editing.
Yeah, and obviously we're doing this in the midst of these two strikes, and this is such a movie where it's like the actors and the writing are
Right.
so important to it, because
Exactly.
it is a Nick Cage like performance through and through. Like, I was watching this movie like, yep, that's the Nick Cage I know and
Right.
love and have grown up watching. And when you
Right.
are kind of, obviously promoting this as the director in the midst of these strikes, is it important to you to like highlight just how much the writing and the actors brought to life within this script?
Absolutely. I mean, first of all, I'm fundamentally a writer. Typically, I
Mhm.
write what I do every day. I wake up and write. Like, that's the, so I'm totally, everybody's saying how in Hollywood everybody shits on the writer, and it's kind of true. Like, nobody, just when you want something from them. But then even in our production, and I mean, I was like close to the writer because I bought the script from him actually. And I am, being a writer, I always tell him stuff, and I would keep him in the loop, and he would be like, thank you, thank you. And I was like, why does he have to thank me? It's his film, right? But he's not used to it because nobody does, people don't pay attention to the writers. And the
Mhm.
actors, you look, when they're the movie stars, people pay attention to them. They don't have I mean, the problem is not Nick Cage. The problem is the people who are not Nick Cage. They have you know what I mean? But yeah, it's a film that's like, the whole thing is the performance and the writing and putting it all together.
Yeah, and did you obviously like trying to contain Nick Cage? No one should do it. Everyone just is like Nick Cage, be Nick Cage. When you are directing him and he comes with these ideas, what is it like for you as a director to kind of like
Oh,
tap into the Nick
ah,
Cageisms and Nick Cage as a person while still
well,
crafting your vision?
well, that's a good question because that's exactly the thing. It's like he's coming again. I never worked with somebody who's so fanatic in the best ways. It's like 5-6 weeks before the shoot. Like, he's 100% on the film. You feel like all he does at home in the 8 hours is sit on the script. Like, I'm doing tours, and I get 10,000 texts. What about this line? Can I say this? What about this? Why can we change it? Look at this video of how Truman Capote interviews with Tennessee Williams. What do you think about their accent? Look at his jacket. That stuff all the time, right? And brilliant, right? And he comes up with a lot of ideas. Yes, when you don't like an idea or whatever, that's when things become like this. But and they were like this. Sometimes that's the thing, because his thing is like he comes up with so much stuff, and then you have to be. I mean, that's your job to be. And then he told me that in the set, he would be like, look, I have to trust you to protect me. That's how I can go wild. So at the editing, you can protect me. That not every shit I do, it's going to be there, right? So we got into this groove during the shoot. I mean, the pre-production, most of the stuff that was like we were head-to-heads happened in the pre-production, and then in the shoot, it just all, flew perfectly. Like he would bring stuff, and and it was just so funny. And we connected on the dark humor of the script. Like he would do stuff, and I would just laugh my ass off behind the monitor, and you would see that I'm laughing, and he would just, oh, it's funny, right? It's so let me do it more, and he would do it more, and it was like, And again, you have the power to edit. A lot of times, he would do something. Sometimes he would do something that I didn't like. Like I don't know. You saw the film. I'm not revealing a spoiler. He did this face. He did this face during the diner scene. Suddenly he did this crazy face to and he always did it in the rehearsal. And I'm like, I didn't get it. I was like, why is he doing it? It doesn't make any sense. But I'm not gonna fight with him. I can cut it. So why fight with him? Let him do it. I'll cut it. And then after a while in the film, I suddenly don't want to cut it. I'm like, maybe he was right. I'll just, what I mean? But that was something that initially I was like, dude, there's no way that's in the film. But I'm not gonna fight with him on it. Do it.
And now it's in the film.
And I'll cut it. The stuff. He's kind of sensitive to it. I'm to the, he's like, he does stuff, and he suddenly sees that I'm doing coverage that allows me to cut, and he's like, why are you shooting it from there? Like, oh, I want that angle. And he knows I'm shooting it from there so I can cut. I was like, no, I want that angle, right? So
you're just like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it, Nick. It's cool.
Don't worry about it. But it's like looking, what? Really? We need that shot too?
I love it. Well, and then on the flip though, you have like Joel Kinnaman, who like his whole deal is he's kind of more like cerebral and calm. And like even when he is playing like assholes and things, it's still kind of straightforward. Right. And when you are is that kind of the straight man, crazy man situation, just like placed into a thriller?
Yeah, I mean, it had to start like that, right? It had to start like that, and then Joel has his own arc, which is amazing to see that he starts like, I was worried in the beginning, and I worked with Joel already, but Joel is like, he has a presence, he has this power, he has this thing. I didn't want him to look from the beginning like somebody from the Suicide Squad, even, but we wanted him to look like a substitute teacher or somebody that's like totally, has a normal life and whatever. And then this crazy character comes in, and he did it. He just disappeared, and he kind of was the perfect foil. He was the guy that kind of represents us looking at Nick, right? It's funny also when when Nick dances or does the crazy shit, it's like you look at Joel looking at him like it's us, like, it's funny, and he was perfect at like just looking at him, but then he has his own kind of eruption, so that's and I think he did a brilliant kind of transformation there.
Yeah. And obviously a movie like this though, like people like me who Nick Cage is one of my favorite people because I'm fascinated by him. Right. And people are going to come because they're going to be like, oh, what is he up to in this? But what do you hope audiences take away when they do get to see the movie and see the story unfold and, the Nick Cage and Joel Kinnaman of it all kind of fades off into these characters?
What do I hope what audience will see?
Yeah, what do you hope they take away from it?
Well, I think it's a super fun ride, joyride, great thriller, dark comedy. It's with an existential twist. There are some deeper themes that we're touching on there, and great performances, very stylized with my man, the cinematographer, Steve Holleran. The fact that we're shooting only at night, only one night, one diner, outside car, gave this film this very kind of unified look, and I'm very proud of this film, and I'm very excited about it. I think it's a film that will stay, even as a cult, as a specialty. You know what I mean? It's like it's gonna have its own place.
Yeah, I 100% think it will, because especially like I said, there are so many of those Nick Cage movies that you like go back and you rewatch and you're like, this is like quintessential Nick Cage. It's so good. And I think this is definitely on like that spectrum of his work. So thank you so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for people to get to see the film.
Thanks. Appreciate it too.
Have a great one.
Bye.
Bye.